Good morning and welcome to the 2020 HEAT program. I'd like to welcome everyone again to this annual event that we have each year to provide a little information of what your contributions have been able to do this past year. This past year alone, your contributions corporately and privately exceeded over $850,000. This enabled us to help over 6,000 Georgians throughout the state. That's 6,000 Georgians that would have been in the cold, on the street, or bundled together in their homes with wonder of what is next. So thank you so much for what you've done, because without you, we help no one. We're just another nonprofit. So thank you, and again, welcome to 2020 HEAT program. And before we get into our meat of our program, I would like to make a direct appeal to you. Again, I'm Vernon Lee. I'm the chair of the program this year. Some of you have been to our programs, and we appreciate you coming. But those of you that were with us last year, I gave us a little small analogy, and since it's been a different kind of year, and we haven't been able to get out and visit with everyone, I just want to give you a little reminder and an invitation, if you will. So if you'll indulge me, last year, I gave you a presentation and gave the analogy that we had all been to a church or to a religious function, and you all know the process of the peripherals, but what I want to focus in on is where there is always an offering plate passed in some form or fashion. Something like this that is passed by down the rows. There's 20 people in a row, it passes all 20 of them. Maybe 11 put in. The other 9 don't. The 9 are not scolded or singled out or asked to leave because they don't. There's a reason they didn't, but the 11 did. Your offering plate as a marketer is your bill. Your bill made out to you that you get every month, whether you're the CEO or you're the local house that just gets a bill like everybody else, because everybody gets an electric bill or a gas bill or both. And what I would like to make this analogy and associate these is this. Church uses this to collect. You use this to collect. And what I would like to ask you to do this year in 2021 is make a concerted effort to add the pledge billing, because your offering plate goes to every home, every one of your customers. It gives them the opportunity to become a part of Georgia's oldest fuel fund that helps people and has been helping people for 38 years. And all we're asking you to do is to allow your patrons, your customers, the chance to put in the plate by checking off a designated dollar amount on the bills that they get from you each month. Most people look at the amount due and the date due. Once they make their mark, the following months, it shows up in the amount due column once you do that. And they can opt out at any time. And this is who benefits: the recipient. So a child does not have to look at his mother and say, "Mom, what are we going to do? It's cold." And the mom not having any clue. But she's able to pick up the phone and call HEAT. And HEAT is able to get her service through one of your customers' contributions and keep that family warm that night. The another beneficiary of this is the marketers. You all are in business. You have to watch the monies. You have to make monies. So whether you're a small city or a large corporation or just a supplier, if you put one of these in someone's home and you give them the opportunity to contribute, the local person that needs the assistance or a benefactor, the state of Georgia is a benefactor because they're our people. But in a business sense, you, the corporation, the marketer, you're the ultimate benefactor, because all these funds come back to you to pay for those bills that would not have been paid without your generosity. Of your previous contributions that we are so grateful for and wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. But this passed the plate for us. We're asking you to make 2021 the year you adopt this program. And it's at a minimum, if no charge to you all, to implement this into your program. And with that, I'd like to show you a video of what your contributions have done and introduced you to one of our recipients, Penny Stevens.
None of us ever know what is going to hit us. And it can happen to any of us. So January and February, everything was going pretty good. I was watching the COVID, but it didn't hit me that it would directly affect me because I'm a nurse. I thought my job was safe. When the pandemic hit, anybody that would have been on IV antibiotics would have either been in a nursing home or would have been in a hospital and were not being discharged home. There was just no referrals. By April 15th, I was working maybe 8 hours a week. Those first few months when I realized how bad it had hit us, it was a feeling of desperation. I was hysterical and did not know what to do. I felt like I was fighting for survival. I felt hopeless. It just devastated my life. I have a very dear friend of mine. She told me about a program where I could get some assistance with my utilities. I dropped the paperwork off at the office and not expecting to hear from anyone. I really and truly thought this was just going to be another government agency that's just going to put me on the back burner. And when I called, a lady answered the phone and her voice was like an angel. She didn't wait for my appointment time. She went right then and processed the application. While she was on the phone with me, I'm just forever grateful for the assistance that I received. You know, I kept thinking when everything opened back up, it was going to go back to normal. I still have not got the referrals that I had prior to COVID. But I recently took a second job, so just to be able to make my basic needs makes me happy now.
Hello, everybody. As a statewide public official, I get to travel every corner of Georgia. We're the biggest state east of the Mississippi, so I'm always impressed with the diversity of people, landscape, and businesses in towns both big and small. Georgia is continuing to grow with individuals and industries coming here to enjoy our rich natural resources, our beaches to the southeast, our mountains to the north, and our streams and lakes from one end of the state to the other. While we appreciate everything Georgia has to offer, we must always remember that we have neighbors who do not have the ability to take advantage of everything Georgia has to offer. The disenfranchised include many seniors, some disabled people, and people between jobs, and those who just can't seem to catch up with everything life throws their way. I am proud that together we offer these neighbors our assistance through programs such as HEAT. Each of you is involved in that effort, and I applaud you for your work. HEAT began as part of Atlanta Gaslight to help combat the energy crisis of the late 1970s and early 1980s. After 40 years, now a separate nonprofit organization, HEAT continues to help those who have had a hard time keeping up with a fast-moving society in a rapidly growing state. With the help of concerned citizens, businesses, In public agencies, including the Public Service Commission, we keep people warm during the winter, and that is a very special objective. Every year, about 1,000 households receive assistance. Since the program began, more than 250,000 individual Georgians have kept warm through heat assistance. In 2015, HEAT was part of a joint petition along with the Salvation Army and Hope Works for funding through the PSC Universal Service Fund. HEAT was approved for $200,000 a year for 5 years. I am pleased to say that last year the PSC approved a raise for HEAT. The program now receives $300,000 a year, and each eligible household can receive up to $350. The numbers are nice, but I always look forward to the success stories. I receive reports about retirees on fixed incomes who are amazed to learn that HEAT is available to help with their heating bills. I hear about medically infirm people who sleep better, knowing that at least one bill will not go unpaid. I hear about people who just need a temporary hand up so they can again start to move forward with their lives. HEAT and all of you are making lives easier, and that is simply fantastic. Again, I applaud you. Together we will keep up the effort for many years to come.
I am Pedro Cherry. This summer, I joined Atlanta Gas Light as president and CEO. It's an honor to represent our company at HEAT's annual meeting for the first time and to join so many leaders that have had such meaningful impacts on our communities. While this is my first year with Atlanta Gas Light, our company's history with HEAT spans decades, beginning in its founding year, 1983. We collaborated with the Georgia Poverty Rights Organization to help build HEAT to what it is today, because at that time, we recognized the importance of providing energy assistance to low-income communities, and that remains true today. This year, in particular, the support HEAT provides Georgia's families and seniors is critical. This spring, the challenges in our community caused by COVID-19 were so great that thousands of natural gas customers reached out seeking a helping hand. Ever since, we have worked with the Public Service Commission and marketers across the state to suspend service disconnections and offer payment arrangements for those who could not pay their bills. Today, we are working with marketers to continue delivering clean, safe, reliable, and affordable natural gas for all of our customers, despite their personal financial challenges. But we cannot get complacent in these efforts as the winter months approach. COVID-19 has increased economic hardship for many Georgians. In our state, HEAT tells us that 1 in 5 households will struggle to pay their bills this winter. For some, this may be the first time they've needed to ask for help and they don't know where to turn. This is why, with the support of the Georgia Public Service Commission, we've allocated $1 million for supplemental low-income energy assistance. Nearly 1/5 of that will go towards HEAT beneficiaries. And this is in addition to the millions of dollars our parent company, Southern Company Gas, has donated this year to pandemic relief efforts across our territories, and the hours and hours of our employees have contributed, volunteering with local nonprofits. Everyone deserves the comforts of home that natural gas provides. And so during the pandemic, Atlanta Gas Light employees have been intensely focused on maintaining quality service for Georgians. Earlier this year, our employees even transformed our service centers to collection sites for local food banks. gathering more than 20,000 pounds of food for organizations such as Meals on Wheels Atlanta, United Way of Forsyth County, and the Georgia Mountain Food Bank, among others. Our commitment of service to communities will continue through efforts such as our Energy to Give holiday drive, during which we will work across the Southern Company enterprise to provide for communities in need. Locally, this ranges from donating warm coats to elementary schoolers in North Georgia to gifting toys to children hospitalized in Savannah. We strive to ensure that communities are better because we are there. Our hope is that by providing additional funding for HEAT, together we can reach even more families. As the oldest energy assistance fund in the state, HEAT has distributed more than $27 million to nearly 110,000 households. We are proud to have contributed to this effort and are thankful to everyone participating today who helped make this happen. By working together, we've accomplished a great deal over the years, and I look forward to our continued partnership this winter and beyond.
I'm Mike Braswell, President and CEO of Georgia Natural Gas. As a long-standing HEAT supporter, I'm proud to represent G&G during this virtual version of its annual meeting. I wish we could be together as we have in years past, where we spent time together at the Biltmore or 10 Peachtree, but I'm grateful that we're still able to discuss the important contributions HEAT is making to our communities as winter and the peak heating season approaches. Now, I know that the virtual environment can't quite be as engaging as it can in person, but I did want to point out at least we can all skip Atlanta traffic and trying to get to the meeting. So that is one positive we can all celebrate together. HEAT is unique in that it unites government, private citizens, and businesses like ours, Georgia Natural Gas, to help struggling Georgians meet their energy needs. Collectively, over the past 30 years, we have helped HEAT distribute tens and millions of dollars to energy assistance to thousands of families across our state. I know we've all seen the videos of the beneficiaries and how grateful they are for the contributions we've made. And it always warms my heart and makes me feel good. I'm a native Georgian. I worked at Atlanta Gas Light prior to being at G&G. I've been in the energy business for 30 years. And HEAT is one of those organizations that I've just loved working with. And they've always done an excellent job of filling those needs in Georgia for those struggling families. And for that, I really, really appreciate it. But we all know right now, the struggling by a lot of Georgia consumers is tougher than ever. And so what we wanted to do is make sure that we could help fill some of that void. And that's why Georgia Natural Gas increased its annual rate of giving and made a 2-year, $200,000 commitment to HEAT to help fuel as many homes as we can. At G&G, we've seen firsthand the impact that these contributions can make to individuals. With HEAT beneficiaries, we've seen veterans, seniors, the disabled, single parents, a huge range of people. And hard times can fall on anyone. And so this has been an excellent program that can help everybody. The support in this organization just doesn't help bring back people's heat, it also restores their dignity. This past year has been challenged for many of us, and unfortunately, this winter may not be much different. In supporting HEAT, however, we have the opportunity to not just warm Georgians' homes, but their hearts too. On behalf of the team at Georgia Natural Gas, I want to thank everyone at HEAT for your tireless contributions to the state and for your continuous efforts in the years to come.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Bryant, the Unit Manager for the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. The purpose of this program is to assist low-income households, particularly those with the lowest income that have the highest energy burden. We are so fortunate to have an amazing partnership with HEAT for so many years. HEAT provided $1,000 to the Georgia Division of Family and Children Services for fiscal year 2020 to assist low-income families in crisis. Crisis means those families either had a disconnection notice or their heat was already disconnected. With this partnership with HEAT, we were able to assist 1,662 households, affecting over 3,549 individuals. Of these households, 418 were elderly, and 325 had children 5 and under. The partnership with HEAT is so valuable. Without it, so many of these households would be without heat. We are so appreciative of everything that HEAT provides to this program. Daily, I receive calls from individuals speaking of their desperate need. And with HEAT, we can help so many more families. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm Ken Kington. It is so good to be back with HEAT for another year. Thanks for the invitation. This has been a crazy year, to be certain. And you know what? There's been several times I thought, how is this affecting HEAT? And well, let me give you a quick overview of, or a little bit of an update. As we're recording this, the election is still kind of going on. I don't do a lot of political humor, but as this airs, I don't know if your guy won or didn't, but let me just encourage you, if your guy won, congratulations. If your guy didn't, welcome to the first day of the end of the world. Okay, so either way, we're gonna be moving forward, and life is going on. And let me share some statistics with you that are facts. These aren't opinions; they're facts. But things are going in the right direction in a sense of COVID. As of today, when we recorded this, 99.99% of Americans do not have COVID-19, which is a great number, moving in the right direction. But if you're one of those 0.07% that do have it, it's still good news, because 99.996% of those who have COVID, it is not serious or critical. So we're moving in the right direction there. I've talked to several doctors and they said we really are. We've learned a lot. And one of the most impressive parts of this whole chaos has been the collaborations of doctors and medical people and researchers and all that. And I got to thinking how amazing HEAT is in that same way of collaboration. And just dealing with the reality, because it's really all hearsay of what's going on. And I've made a few observations or two, not just the facts of COVID, but the observations. Number one is, I don't know if you've been to one of these places where, have you been to a restaurant yet? Anybody been to a restaurant? Have you been in where you have to wear a mask to the table, but once you sit down, you can take it off? So apparently COVID cannot penetrate 4.5 feet. Okay, so if you can't have a mask, just kind of slouch and walk around. And I tried this theory out. I've actually started traveling again and flying, and I sat down in my seat and took my mask off. The flight attendant said, "Hey, you need to put your mask back on." I said, "But I'm sitting. I'm below 4.5 feet." And she said, "Well, we're about to be above 30,000 feet, so you need to put it back on." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll put it back on." Except we get into the flight and they tell you you have to wear your mask unless you're eating or drinking. Now, apparently, food and beverage has a repelling factor to COVID. So if you can't find a mask, just hold on to some chips and a drink and you should be okay. And let me just tell you, I can make a bag of 100-calorie Cheez-Its last about 2 hours. So just can't eat a whole one. So, I mean, it's learning in this, and we're actually progressing as well. My youngest son, who's 15, they actually, in our county, they've said, "Hey, we're going back to school." And there are several experts that say, it is more physically, mentally, and emotionally helpful for kids to be around one another. And they started out with the elementary school kids, which makes sense because they're all under 4.5 feet tall. So it makes sense for them to start it out. But I had to laugh. My 15-year-old, he says, I don't know what I want, because it's a choice. You can do face-to-face or you can do it online still. And I love that there's a choice in this. And that's one of the parts that I love. We don't all have to agree, and everybody's different, but In our case, he's a healthy, great young man, and he's like, I don't know what y'all want, face-to-face or online. I've really enjoyed that. And I said, well, my wife and I were like, we're so sorry you thought this was your choice. Because this is for our mental health, that you're going back. So that, and I feel for this poor guy because he's literally having to do online weight training. Now think about that for a second. Online weight training, we don't have weights in our house. So this poor kid's in the middle of a living room just doing this on a regular basis. And what really, the straw that broke the camel's back was he's got a broomstick, bench pressing on the floor with a broomstick. And I'm like, what are you doing? He says, well, they're trying to get the technique down. And I'm like, okay, this looks so ridiculous. But we're into goals, and we're into, hey, let's get better. And so we're hoping by the end of the year he can do a rake or maybe a shovel. So we're looking forward to that. But with all of this, and then the one that really got me, I don't know if you've run into, and listen, my daughter is a cancer survivor. I get the idea of we want to be careful around those who have a pre-existing condition. And the mask thing, I get it. And if I can't be six feet away, I wear a mask. But somebody told me the other day, two people have approached me. One was they're like, hey, you're wearing your mask wrong. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you got to pull it over your chin. I didn't know you could breathe through your chin. I'm 50 years old and I didn't even know that was possible. But my favorite, now I've been for 6 months wearing a mask and somebody said, hey, you got it on backwards. It's backwards. You got to have the blue side out. Here I am 6 months thinking I am protecting myself. The whole time apparently I'm attracting COVID to myself. So I'm learning through the process. And as we learn through the process of not just COVID, but life, our world has turned upside down. And in this upside down time, I just want to encourage all of those who are a part of HEAT that there's a superior quality to what you guys are doing on a regular basis. Now, I want you to either raise your hands or raise your hand to the camera if you're watching this, or if you're in your car, you're by yourself, just raise your hand anyway. If pizza is one of your top 5 favorite foods. If it is, go ahead and raise your hands. Okay, yay. Now, if we're giving away pizza, there's 2 schools of thought. You're either going to give the cheapest you can find, the type that you get from the grocery store in the cardboard box, where the cardboard box actually is the crust, and or you're going to give away the best. Now, I'm a pizza connoisseur, and the best I've ever had is a deep dish from Chicago from Lou Malnati's. And when I was coming through surgery, my cousin had sent me 2 of these freeze-dried as a gift, and I'm like, my world got better. Because not only was it that, but it was the supreme. It wasn't just cheese, it was supreme. Everything is on there. And can I tell you that when I think of HEAT and I see the literally thousands of people that are affected, it's that superior, that supreme collaboration that really sticks out. I see organizations all over the country, associations, companies, and I have seen none that are better at collaboration than HEAT. It's the social side of it. It's the company donations. It's the gas companies that are providing. It's HEAT pulling this together. It is an amazing collaboration. It's not just getting it done. It is literally supreme at a different level. Not just the collaboration, but the caring that goes behind it. This idea of we're not just aware that it's out there. We want to do something about this. And we're going to do it in such a way, we're going to pull all these resources together and make this a reality. It's that heart behind it. I mentioned my daughter was a cancer survivor. She was 4, and for 2 years, we went to clinic every week. What I see HEAT is Karen. Now, I know in our current society, Karen is kind of mocked as that person who looks for the details and corrects everybody. But there was Karen at the hospital. She was the family coordinator helper. Her whole job was to make our world better. We had to go through chemo treatments. We had to go through it. But she was there, and her whole job was, I want you to know I'm with you. I'm with you on this. If we were having a long treatment or transfusion, she would make sure that my daughter's favorite movie was in the player. She would make sure that our parking was validated. She would make sure of all the details. But the one that really got me was every March, there's a fundraise for that whole world in cancer called St. Baldrick's. And this beautiful 20-something young lady came in with her head shaved. And I said, Karen, what are you doing? And she says, I want them to know you're not alone. I'm with you on this. And I have not seen any organization that has taken a real need to this real level of going, we're with you on this. I would put it this way. Everybody knows there's needs, but what am I doing with this? Now, one of my favorite things to do when I'm around successful leaders and people is to say, hey, if you have a principle or truth that got you where you are, what is it? Or if you could go back 20 years and tell you one thing that you know now, you wish you knew then, what would it be? And I ask leaders that all the time. I'll never forget Bill. Bill is he's the president of a national organization, Princeton MBA, just an incredible guy, but he was in the Air Force as a young officer. And he said that the base commander had given him a project to lead, and he had to give a report. He said, I was not looking forward to the report because we were behind schedule, we were over budget, and I spent the whole night before preparing this report. And I go in to see the base commander. And I've got all the numbers in my head. And he said, Captain. He said, yes, sir. He says, I need to ask you one question. He said, yes, sir. He said, are you a thermostat or are you a thermometer? And he said, sir, I'm sorry. I don't understand the question. He says, you a thermostat or are you a thermometer? And he goes, I'm sorry. He said, Captain, let me just explain this to you this way. Everybody is one of the two. See, now, a thermometer can tell you what the environment is. It can tell you with accuracy what the temperature is. But thermostat, now, thermostat's different. A thermostat, you set on what is optimal. And a thermostat is connected to resources. And those resources, and that thermostat will use those resources until optimal is reality. Now, let me ask you again. Are you a thermostat or are you a thermometer? He said, I'm a thermostat, sir. He says, as you were. He wasn't interested in hearing the details and the excuses or the reasons. He wanted to know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Use what you have, and heat is doing that in an incredible way, and there's a really good chance you are part of that. You're part of that solution, that collaboration. Now, the best way I can describe the collaboration is my dad, brilliant man, aeronautical engineer, literally was in the Mensa Society. Obviously, if you don't know what Mensa is, it's like the top 1% of all IQs in the world. That obviously skips a generation. I did not get that. But in that same realm, I would look at this brilliant man just dumbfounded. At home, every now and then, my mom would say something very similar like, we need to fix that drippy faucet. And this brilliant man would stand there like a deer in headlights. And I would be like, say something, man. Well, I'm married now. Now I know what he was doing. He was thinking, which we is she talking about? I came to me my first year of marriage. I had literally, my wife just made this, she said, we need new spring clothes. And I'm thinking, I got plenty of shorts and t-shirts. It didn't matter because that is a she-we, okay? And that same year, we had this little front yard and she came in on a Saturday. I'm watching a ball game. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is great. And she comes in and she just makes the proclamation, we need to cut the grass. And I literally had the mental thought, she's going to help. That was a me-we, okay? But it happens to me at least once a month, and I never know when it's going to happen. It happened a few weeks ago. My wife walks into the kitchen. My sons are home from college, and my wife says, we need groceries. And I'm standing there just like my dad used to stand. And my oldest son said, what's wrong with Dad? And I said, leave me alone. I don't know if it's a she-we, a me-we, or a we-we. I'm trying to figure this out. And see, as I say that, here's the deal. It makes me think of what Heat is doing on a regular basis, meeting these real needs. And that compassionate side of it, saying, you know what, we know that's real, because I know firsthand what it means to be in need. And those people, I can't overstate enough the fact there's something about coming home from a challenge of chaos, whether it's a loss of a job, looking for a new one, details that we did not ask for, that are uncertain and uncontrollable, to come to a warm home. There's something about after a hard day's work when you're in a hole trying to dig out financially, to take a hot shower. And there's something wonderful about having a hot, cooked, homemade meal. That is heat. Heat is saying all this coordination, all this collaboration is coming to a point where we want to meet real people with real needs where they are. And I don't know if you know America, but too often we get stuck in the chaos of what we have no control over. I heard a gentleman, a financial guy years ago, Larry Burkett, said, you know, in America we spend money we don't have to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. And I thought, wow. But this opportunity, as Vernon shared, that opportunity for the customers to just take that bill and go, I want to do $5 a month. Yeah, I want to be a part of that. Or maybe not, but just that opportunity to be a part. Not only is it a supreme collaboration, it's also a supreme source, a supreme product. That cheap cardboard pizza is not what heat is providing. Heat it's the most value, it's an unbelievable effect, and it's the best source of energy anywhere. We're not just giving them something, we're giving them the best. They're asking for a bike, we're giving them a brand new Land Rover. It's mind-blowing, and it's so effective. And I just want to encourage you that you're the ones who are doing it. You're the ones who are making this a reality. You're taking it from something we all know we ought to do to making it, what more can I do? And the question is, what part of we do I need to be? And how can I do that more? Maybe it's getting more involved. Maybe it's doing more. Maybe it's doing the check on the bill. I don't know. But if you're thinking that direction, we can take that from over 6,000 people reached to double. And to be that part. I want to wrap with a mental picture. A buddy of mine from college ended up being the mayor of Warner Robins, Georgia. And we were playing golf one time after his first term. And I said, how's it going? He said, wow, I did not realize what I was getting into. And I was like, really? He says, yeah, the guy before me is actually in jail for embezzlement. And he said, the first week I was in office, he says, I don't know if you've ever thought about politics. But he says, Ken, I don't know why I didn't realize this. The first day you're in office, half the people that you're working for hate you for no reason. And he said, there was a line. He said, in the first couple weeks, I had over 300 people come through my office telling me what's wrong with our city. And I'm like, wow. He said, after about the first 3, I stopped. And I told my secretary, give me a minute. And he says, I believe this was divine wisdom, because from then on, every person that came through, he said, I want you to tell me what's on your mind. But while you're doing it, I need you to point at me. And I want you to tell me what's wrong. And they did. And he said several would stop there and just talk and drop their hand. But he's like, no, keep pointing. And they would point. He says, is that all you have on that subject? And they're like, yeah. He says, I need to ask you a quick question. He says, how many of your fingers are pointing back at you? I'm like, well, 3. He says, now you may find this hard to believe, but I am fully aware of the problems. He says, but you seem to have a great grasp of that problem in specific. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to go next week. I want you to come back. And over the week, I want you to come up with 3 solutions to that problem. And I want you to tell me those. And in those solutions, I want you to tell me which one you think is going to be best, because I want us to decide how we can make that a reality. He says, Ken, 300 people came in. 2 came back. He says, because it's so rare. Everybody knows the problems, but how are we going to do something about it? Can I just tell you, I am so impressed with Heat. I'm so impressed with you being a part of this, because you said, hey, this is the part of we I'm going to be. And we're going to meet real problems with real solutions in a real way that is supreme, in a time that is uncertain. Congratulations for what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
I just do what I do. I enjoy people, enjoy life. And my grandson Zay is 4 years old. My wife is Cynthia, and they're the biggest part of my life. That's who I am right now.
A lot of times people don't know all of the resources that are available. There are lots of great programs like HEAT. These funds really go a long way to help families within our community. A lot of times we'll have people that are struggling on, are they going to be able to keep their lights on, keep warm, in the winter or cool in the summer. We try to help ease that energy burden by offering assistance to those that are in need.
Sometime in your life, you got to sit back and reflect on who you are and give back. Because there's more people out there that need help than just you. I give back by helping an organization that helped me. To raise a kid, especially when you get as old as I am, being older, I hope and think that I'm wiser and I can teach him a little bit better than I could when I was younger, so he won't have as hard a time. Have heat in the house to keep my kids warm, keep my wife warm. Able to cook food because I have gas stove. You can't live without it.
We have an award we would like to present today on behalf of the HEAT Board of Directors as a whole. We'd like to present this award to Michelle Harris Jackson, which will be leaving the board this year after 8 years of service. She is with Georgia Natural Gas, and we want to make sure we thank them for allowing her to serve and the support they gave to her to serve on our board for the last 8 years. Again, this award is for Michelle Harris Jackson on behalf of HEAT Board of Directors. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, I want to thank you all again today for joining us for our 2020 HEAT program. We appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and see what else we've done this past year thanks to your contributions and your continued support of our program. And along support, I want to make sure I thank a few of our sponsors and our contributors and our marketers, and Atlanta Gas Light, Southern Company, Georgia Natural Gas, Public Service Commission, Department of Family Children Services, which distributes the monies that you all send to us to get distributed, Gas South, SCANA, Walton EMC, and many others. Also like to thank the HEAT staff, Jeffrey, Janet, Rayanne, Marcia, Municipal Gas Authority of Georgia, the Consolidated Pipeline and Supply, David Gearing Productions. Without him, this program this year would not be possible. So we want to specifically thank him for making this a possible presentation, and thank Southern Company Gas, all of these partners for what you do. And in my last comments, I would like to touch on this. You heard it mentioned a moment ago with Ken. You heard me earlier ask you this. Over the last 38 years, since 1983, 37 years, excuse me, HEAT has been able to contribute $28 million to Georgians for assistance, not just handing out money, but for needs that would have not been met otherwise, and able to help over 115,000 Georgians with that $28 million since 1983. That's possible because of the partners you just heard me mention. So I asked you this last time, make 2021 checkoff year. A simple place on your billing for your customers. So pass the plate to your customers. Give them the opportunity to say yes or no for $1 or $2 to be given. And again, our citizens that have the needs are not the only recipients, but our donors, our contributors. These monies are coming back to your companies. And it's a tremendous, tremendous community effort that you all do, and it's shown and put back out of what you actually do for your customers. So we thank you so much for joining us this year. Thank you for your continued support. Look forward to a great 2021.